Thank you for staying with us. After an illegal Bangladeshi was arrested in the safe stabbing saga, and there have been raids and checks that are being conducted here in the national capital over the influx of illegal migrants, the focus is back on how they're entering India using porous borders. Bharat is relentless on its action against this influx. CNN News 18 has now accessed crucial NCRB records that reveal sensational details about these crime statistics. Bangladeshis top the list of foreigners committing crimes here in the country. They've committed at least 55% of foreigner-related crimes over the last 2 years, dating from 2020 to 2022. That's what the data suggests. The data also shows the Bangladeshis are behind the highest violations of Passport Act and foreigners' registration laws in the country. Nearly 55% of all accused in these crimes either hail from Bangladesh or have strong links to the country. The implications of this could be troubling. The implications could also be far-reaching. What exactly does India need to do to fight this menace? Let's open this up. Joining me on this broadcast, Professor Madhav Nalapat, Vice Chair, Manipal Advanced Research Group is with us. Former IGBSF, R.K. Bhargava is with us as well. Mr. Bhargava, let me begin by asking you. You've seen this menace, you've seen how to combat it, and your testament to why this needs to be dealt with a stronger hand, with a far more iron grip than perhaps we are. This is a data that has come to the fore from 2020 to 2022. Since then, we've seen a lot happen in Bangladesh, including what happened last year and the influx of people that were wanting to come in. Is it likely that this is just the tip of the iceberg?
Yes, I feel that it is the tip of the iceberg. Number one. Number two, as you said, is it very important or what? Now the Bangladeshis, they come to India and they go to all corners of the country, they mix up with the local people, and then it becomes very difficult to identify them. As far as the general perception is that that about 1 crore to 2 crore Bangladeshis have infiltrated and are staying in different corners of the country. Now the question is how it can be stopped. Now let me tell you one thing, that the influx of Bangladeshi was more, say about 15 to 20 years back. Reason was the Bangladesh was a very poor country, and for them India was the only place where they could get jobs, number one. Number two, there was no fence that time. The fence came after 1998, the fence came. But still, a number of places, the number of spots are such that it can be easily negotiated from Bangladesh to India. Those borders are basically the riverine border where they can cross with a boat or with the help of these, what you call that, banana stamps. That is one of the reason that we are unable to stop them. Now, as far as the crossing the fence is concerned, they have devised number of ways to cross the fencing. Of course, now there are some black sheep also in BSF who facilitate their movement from Bangladesh to India for some money by opening the gate. But that is one story, but it doesn't mean that they have very free access to from Bangladesh to India, or the BSF is helping them. At present, the situation is slightly better, rather not slightly, I say it is much better compared to what was there about 5, 6 or 20 years back. Now it is difficult to cross the fencing. Of course they can still cross, as I said, but it is not so easy. Now the present situation in Bangladesh is such that not only the Muslims, the Hindus are also coming. The Muslims came in search of job. Hindus are coming because they are being they are having very tough time there. Now the Bangladeshis who came some 20, 25 years or even 30 years back, they all came here, as I said, for in search of job. Now these Bangladeshis, they came here, but they had no affinity with this country. They were still Amar Bangla type. So for them, committing a petty crime was very natural. They never felt any guilt that we are committing some crime. Now the question comes that you say 50% of the crimes by the foreigners committed are by Bangladeshis. Yes, if there are about 1 crore plus Bangladeshis here, naturally the rate of crime will be more. Of course, now there is Nigeria also. They say that Nigeria is number 2. But you see, Nigerians are just few thousands. They are not even in lakhs, and they are mostly in metropolitan cities, big cities, where the Bangladeshis are in villages, in small towns also, where they can just where they get involved in petty crimes like theft, like you can say some dacoity, because they feel that this is one way of earning some money, because they were not getting jobs very easily.
It could be about petty crimes. Maybe that's how it started. But is it of a larger concern if this could snowball any further? Professor Nalpat, what is your opinion on that?
Well, I'd like to say that I'm surprised anyone is surprised by this data, for the simple reason that 30 years ago in Kolkata, I was told that for a genuine citizen of India, it's very difficult to get an Indian passport. Very, very difficult. For a Bangladeshi illegal, it was very simple to get an Indian passport, because even in the regional offices and the verification processes, illegal Bangladeshis were involved. So I'm talking of 3 decades ago. So heaven knows when this influx started, but it certainly has happened over a period much longer than 3 decades. And it has gone uninterrupted. I mean, this figure that the distinguished police officer is saying of 2 crores is extremely alarming. And may I point out that they are used to by others to commit crimes. They commit they leave their Bangladeshi passports in Bangladesh, illegally come to India, then they, as has correctly been said, they don't know what to do. So they are asked to commit a crime in exchange for money. They willingly accept, they commit the crime and then escape to Bangladesh. So this 55% that has been discovered is probably a much smaller percentage than the actual percentage. There's no question that's a serious security risk. And now that is coming out in Technicolor in Bangladesh. Even way back in the past, communal rioting was very common there. Even before partition, some of the most terrible communal riots in which members of a particular community were massacred took place in undivided Bengal. And the problem is that today communal forces are completely on the ascendant in Bangladesh. They run the government, they run the system. And we have got Pakistan sending, all kinds of shipments of equipment, very likely arms and other equipment, so that they become used as the 5th column that can commit acts of violence rather than Pakistanis or anybody else. So it is indeed a very serious problem, and I think we need to pay as much attention to it as is being paid in the United States under Donald Trump to the problem of illegal immigration, for a simple reason: it's a massive security threat. And the people who are now coming across, or the people who have basically come across and have been, in a sense, indoctrinated, they will be capable of the most violent and terroristic acts if they get an opportunity. Bangladesh, the whole eruption of violence took place when they got an opportunity. Till then, they were lying low. The same problem is there in every country where there are hidden, groups of this kind of extremism. And I think we have to be extremely cautious. We have to identify people who have come in.
Professor Nalpat, sorry to interrupt you there, but I just want to ask you this, that, we've often spoken of, and there has been often a debate over Rohingya Muslims and the influx and the infiltration on that end of how there have been, especially in Delhi here, there have been these colonies and settlements where there are scores of them and they've been living here illegally for years together now. The fact that Myanmar is not a country that comes on that NCRB list, how do you read that?
Look, the fact of the matter is Myanmar does not call them Myanmaris for a simple reason that they are ethnic Bangladeshis. And quite frankly, they are Bangladeshis and they need to be treated as such. And among that group, there was a very violent agitation involving a lot of murder and violence to have an independent Rohingya state. out of Myanmar. And that is when a crackdown happened by the Myanmarese authorities on the Rohingya, and Rohingya left helter-skelter to all kinds of places, including in India. It's interesting to note that there are colonies in Jammu, for example, in which people have been incentivized to settle down, comprising numbers of Rohingya. The same situation is there across the country. So this again is a very grave risk. It's not a question of Hindu and Muslim. We are a country with the second largest Muslim population. Overall, they are overwhelmingly modern and moderate. They are a credit to the country, as are Hindus, Christians, Buddhists, Jains, and other groups. But it is a question of religious extremism, and religious extremism fanned by the flames of fundamentalism. And when that mixture starts combusting, when it gets an opportunity, it will then begin the combustible material will burst into flame. And that's when the problem will start. So we have to catch it before the situation develops to such an extent that it bursts into flame.
R.K. Bhargava, how can we stop that situation from coming to a head then? The borders remain porous. That's something that we are trying to deal with, but not much can be done on that front. Do we then need stricter laws, stricter mechanism to deal with them, to deport them as soon as possible?
As far as the porous border is concerned, yes, year by year, we are improving our security on the borders. Even where it is porous, we are putting some sort of obstacle, some sort of system so that they cannot cross. So as I said, now it is not so easy to cross into India from Bangladesh. Yes, still the sneakers are there. They cross into the India with their family, with everything. That is okay, but it is not on that mass scale. The requirement of identifying them in all the cities lies with the concerned state governments. Unless they pull up their socks, they cannot be stopped, they cannot be identified. As far as deporting is concerned, well, I think for that we have to take the Bangladesh into confidence, because it is not so easy to deport them. After all, we cannot put them in a plane load and say, okay, you go and go to Dhaka and
absolutely, and given the flux politically that Bangladesh is seeing, it's only going to be a much tougher task. But having said that, there has to be a mechanism in place, and India, of course, is going to be looking at that. Unfortunately, I'm completely out of time, so I have to leave it there. But I thank you both gentlemen for joining us here on The Right Stand. It is time for a quick break, but on the other side, we'll get you the expectations from this year's budget, which Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will be presenting in 2 days from now on the 1st of February. What's on your wish list? I'll explain that on the other side.
So finally, the Vande Bharat train is in Kashmir, and today, as part of the trial, the train is right now going through this picturesque valley of Kashmir, and my VJ will show you outside these snow-capped mountains and the sort of mesmerizing view that I'm going to witness on this train journey.